There is an epidemic of terrible business advice out there. Well-meaning business coaches who want to help you, they want to do the right thing. But when I look at so much of the advice that online business owners are getting, it just doesn't work. And if this is you, maybe you're feeling like you're stuck at a certain level of income or revenue, or clients are inconsistent. It might be because you're following some of this bad business advice. So in this episode today, I want to share with you 5 of the biggest, most common, terrible pieces of business advice that I hear in the online business world, as well as how to avoid them and what really works when it comes to growing a business based on what I've seen to be most effective for me, my own business, as well as the hundreds of clients that I work with. Super pumped to share this with you. Cannot wait to dive in. So let's get started. The first piece of terrible business advice, this is something, I'll be honest, I used to teach people. This is something that I was taught. And it's something I still hear all the time out there in the online business world, which is post consistently. You might have heard this idea of like, okay, in order to build relationships with your audience, you got to post on a consistent basis. So maybe it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And generally the advice is create some kind of calendar or schedule that you can stick to and commit to and show up every day in your business and post on that kind of consistent, scheduled basis. Now, here's the thing. I've been doing online business for close to 10 years now, really 20 years if you count my first official online business when I was like 13. And for years, I showed up and I followed this advice. So I had a content schedule. I would show up and I'd send a certain number of emails per week. And every Friday or every other Friday, I would record my YouTube videos and I'd release on this very structured, regimented schedule. And this is the way that most people teach content creation. I mean, here's what I found in my own business. After a couple years of doing this, I got burned out. And I felt like I was so boxed into this like rigid way of showing up in my business that I was completely disconnected from this idea of wanting to actually engage with my audience. It was just like, well, it's Thursday and I've got a time block on my calendar, so I got to create some content. Or, oh, we have a video that we publish every single week on our YouTube, so I got to have a video ready to go. But here's the issue with this. The relationship that you have with your audience is a relationship. And a relationship, just like if you look like in any relationship in your life, you think about like how crazy is it if I were to, maybe my significant other, if I were to create some kind of system where every day at 9 a.m., I would have to text them or call them and have some kind of a conversation with them. It would completely cut off all of the flow and the spontaneity and the genuine sense of connection and engagement that you have with that other person. You can't schedule out relationships. That's not how relationships work. So why are we doing this when it comes to building our online businesses? When I let go of this idea of rigidity around how I showed up and communicated and connected with my audience. And I started seeing it like any other relationship, which means I share something when I have something to say, when I'm excited about offering something. And that might mean it's 10 o'clock at night and I'm about to go to bed and suddenly I get this idea that pops into my head. So I grab my laptop and I go, bang out an email and I send it out to my list. And other days I wake up and I have nothing to say and I'm like, I'm not gonna share a post today. When I started shifting to this more intuitive, more free-flowing way of creating and engaging with my audience, the first thing is I felt a lot less pressure. The second thing is, paradoxically, I actually ended up creating and releasing a lot more content. And third, the content that I created was so much more engaging, so much more exciting, so much more of the type of content that when you see it, you're like, oh, wow, like I want to actually read this or I want to watch this video, because it wasn't like something I was forcing myself to do from a place of obligation. So many people, and I see content out there all the time that is created with this energy of obligation. It's like, oh, it's a Thursday, I got to create a piece of content, and it's like you're forcing yourself and willing yourself to do it. It's like all that energy is just baked into the content that you create, and then you send it out to your list. And it's like, it's like I used to do this, and I was like, I'm selling business coaching, helping people grow their businesses so they can create more freedom in their life, which is what people really want when they're growing their businesses. It's like, I don't want to feel like I'm chained to a desk and I got to work all the time. I want to feel like I can build a business that supports me and my lifestyle so I can live the life I want to live and travel and experience more joy and fulfillment and connection with my family. And yet every piece of my content was infused with this energy of like, ugh, this feels like an obligation. And so it's like I'm on video talking about freedom. Now, how great would it be to be free and to be your own boss and blah, 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 all the things. But I'm saying it with this energy of like obligation because it's Thursday and it's 9 a.m. and I got this time block thing on my calendar that I feel like I have to do, even though I really don't want to do it. So this idea of consistency being this like mechanistic scheduled thing doesn't work for personal brand driven businesses. Most of the thinking around this, if you look at this on a deeper level, comes from the relic of the Industrial Revolution, where basically human beings became factory workers that were taught to operate in a very mechanistic way, where we exist as part of this kind of like assembly line system. And when you take all of that thinking and you bring it into a personal brand driven business, which is what I help people build and teach people how to create, the issue is that you are a human being at the center of all of that. And if you don't honor your natural rhythms and the natural flow of your inspiration, you're going to burn out, or you're going to create a bunch of stuff that is not particularly engaging because you're not creating in alignment with your life force. Now, does this mean that consistency isn't important? No. Consistency, what I think of as consistency, number one, is I am making a commitment to show up and build relationships with my audience. And that means I am active. I'm creating lots of content. I'm sending lots of things out. I'm building those relationships. So there is a level of consistency in the sense that I'm showing up on a frequent basis. It's just that consistency is not this like mechanistic, regimented thing in my business. It's not like Monday at 9 a.m. and Tuesday at 9 a.m. and Wednesday at 9 a.m. It's more of this like free-flowing sense of consistency. That works much better for me. I also feel like consistent energy and consistency in a sense where I'm showing up embodied with this commitment around what I'm here to do, the people I'm here to serve, the types of content I'm here to create, and having a consistent energy behind all of that is so much more important to me than this idea of consistency being this mechanistic thing. So posting consistently, if what that means is creating some kind of like regimented schedule, I think is honestly one of the most terrible pieces of business advice out there. It just doesn't work. Doesn't work for me, and it doesn't work for so many of the clients that I'm here to serve. Hey friend, hope you're enjoying this episode of the podcast. And before we get back to it, if you're an established online business owner who's serious about unlocking your next level of income and impact and growth in your business, I want you to watch my free $1 Million online business training, where I walk through a 4-step roadmap I've personally used to sell well over $1 million of coaching, consulting, and courses online. It's going to make the journey of growing your business so much easier. I want to give this to you for free. All you got to do to access it is go to jasonmoss.com/growth. That's jasonmoss.com/GROWTH to get free access to this training right now. Now back to the episode. So that is terrible piece of advice number one. Number two, this is something that, there are books out there that teach this. And I just have not seen it to be effective ever, really, in my own business as well as the people that I serve. This second piece of bad advice is coach for free. So there are some very popular books out there, and replace coaching if you're not a coach, you're a consultant, you're a course creator, whatever it is, replace it with give away your core offer for free as a way of getting more clients. There are books out there that basically recommend, hey, if you want to get more clients, the best way to do it is to, maybe if you're a coach, you go out there and you just give away a bunch of free coaching, and people have this great experience where they're like, oh my God, that was incredible. I got so much value. And then they're going to want to hire you. It makes sense in theory. It sounds like a good idea. But I learned something very interesting several years back in my first coaching business. One year I had a new course that I was launching, And I was really excited about this. It was a great course. I poured my heart and soul into creating this thing. And before I launched, I wanted to collect some testimonials so I could have them to share as part of the launch process. So I reached out to my personal network and I picked a small group of people that I knew would get a ton of value from this course. And I reached out to them and I said, hey, I'd love to give you this course for free. And all I want in exchange is a testimonial. And so I sent out this course to everyone and I was like, oh my God, they're getting so much value for free. They're going to love this. It's going to be amazing. So I sent this thing out and maybe like 2 weeks later, I started checking in with people. I was like, hey, did you have time to go through the course? What'd you think? And they said, oh, I haven't gotten to it yet. I've had other things on my plate. And I checked in again another week. And honestly, after like several weeks, very few people even went through the course. And I was first of all, I was frustrated. I was like, why does it feel like I'm pulling teeth to get people to go through this incredible thing that I know is going to change their life and they didn't even have to pay for it? But what I realized through that experience was something very important. This is a lesson I've learned so many times in business, which is people do not value what they don't pay for. People do not value what they don't pay for. And if you give your best coaching away to someone for free, what you are essentially doing is training them not to value your coaching. So it's very difficult to take that person who basically has gotten coaching from you for free and turn them into a paying client. When I was an audio engineer, I used to do mixes for people and people would pay me like $500 or, later on more than that. But I started out, I was doing, mixes for a couple $100. And what I found was as I raised my rates, the people that would pay me $300 or $400 or $500 for a mix, those people would not, 99% of them would not be the same clients that would carry forward with me at the higher rates. They would drop off. What I learned was the people who are used to paying a certain price for my services, it's very difficult to go to that person and to basically say, oh, now you're going to pay more for the same thing, basically. So the same principle applies when you give away coaching for free. And I see so many people doing this. They're frustrated, they're discouraged because they're giving away their best stuff, and yet these people are not buying. The other thing that's really interesting about coaching for free is, and this is something I learned when I really got into sales. So I was a director of sales. I was leading a sales team in a coaching business for a while. And what I learned was that coaching and sales are very, very different. They're like two opposite things. Coaching is all about helping somebody alleviate their pain. When we get in a coaching conversation with someone, or when you're helping someone through your service, whatever it is that you do, when you get on a call with someone, your job is to help them basically feel better or to get closer to where they want to be. That's a coaching conversation. Whereas a sales conversation is basically the exact opposite. My goal in a sales conversation is not to solve someone's problem. My goal is to help them feel the extent of that problem and to really face that fully and to feel the magnitude of the pain and what impact that's causing on their life and what they really want and the tension of the gap between where they are today and where they want to be. And when I do a good job in a sales conversation helping somebody connect to those things, they are much more likely to want to buy because that tension, that feeling of, there's a distance between where I am today and where I want to be. And I feel the pain that's causing me and the impact that's having on my life. And I'm not where I want to be. And I know that I need to invest in this coach or this, whoever it is, consultant, this program, whatever it is to solve that problem, to close that gap. That's what motivates people to buy. But when you give someone coaching for free, you take that pain and you actually make it smaller. You take the gap and you make it go away. You give someone what they need to alleviate that pain. So you're doing the exact opposite of what you actually need to do in order to sell. I had a client of mine, I remember a while back, her name is Bonnie, and she came in and when she first started working with me, she wasn't really signing many clients. And someone had taught her a discovery call process that was basically, she would get on a call and she'd do these like 2-hour coaching sessions with someone. And she was so discouraged because she'd have these like 2-hour sessions with people and no one was signing up. One of the first things I did with her was I gave her our sales process that I use with every single one of my clients that I work with. It's incredible. I mean, it really works. It's a series of questions that when you get on a call with someone, you can ask to help them connect to that gap. And what happened afterwards was pretty insane. She was like, oh my God, these conversations are going way better. She started signing clients. And she cut her selling time in half because she didn't have to do these like crazy 2-hour long coaching sessions with people. She could do a sales call in 45 minutes that ended with someone paying her. So all this being said, coaching for free, in my experience, I've just never seen it to be effective. And I know there are other people out there who teach this, and maybe some people have had some success with it, but I just don't think it's good advice. And I just haven't seen it to be effective in my own business, as well as, really the clients that I work with. Now, is there a place for free content? Absolutely. I mean, you'll notice I create a lot of free content in my business, but I think there's a big difference between creating content and giving someone away your core service. I'm not doing coaching for free. Like if someone wants to work with me, they want coaching to help them grow their business, that's a paid offer. So I might create a lot of free content and a lot of free videos and maybe emails and things like this, but there's a very big difference between what I'm able to deliver for someone in this context through a pre-recorded video versus what's available to you if you work with me, inside my higher level one-on-one programs. So I think there is a place for free content in a business. It's a big part of what generates leads in our business. And I'm not saying don't create free content, but what I am saying is your core thing, whatever that is, don't give that away. That is the thing that people pay you for. And that should be the thing that really we keep gated on the back end if someone chooses to sign up and work with you. All right, so that brings us to number 3, which is another piece of bad business advice that I hear quite a bit, this idea of selling sooner. This is something that honestly I believed for a long time until that bubble really got popped for me. The basic idea is when someone, let's say, joins your email list, they're like, that moment is when they're most engaged, and that's the moment that you should sell. So you should sell basically as soon as possible when someone gets into your world. The goal is to make that sale as soon as possible in the first, let's say, few days or even the first few hours or someone actually coming into your world, because the longer someone's on your list, the more likely they are to unsubscribe. And so it's better to sell up front and to sell sooner. Very common advice. Here's the issue with this. I think in some industries, when you have more of like a commoditized type of product, we're not selling like a high touch, high intimacy, high ticket type situation, maybe this advice works. If the goal is just to get somebody to buy like a low ticket offer or something like this, I think there are places in a business where this might make sense. Here's the problem. The people who join your list, who have no idea who you are, who are basically just getting to know you, those people in many cases are not ready to buy because they haven't built that relationship and connection with you. They also don't know enough about you to be the type of buyer that you probably really want. So, when we look at, like, I have a mentor who, his name's Scott Alford. He's a great business coach. He talks about the idea that in any market, there's people who are in the slow lane, the sidewalk, or the fast lane. And you've got the fast lane, which is the people who are just ready to go at any moment. Maybe there's like 3% of people in your niche who are just ready to buy. And those are the people, like I had a client of mine who signed up this week to work with me one-on-one, who found me on Saturday. It's a Tuesday or Wednesday today. And he signed up yesterday, I think, to work with me. This is a very rare circumstance for me. Most of the people who sign up to work with me, they've been in my audience for 3 to 6 months minimum. Now, why have I set my business up this way? Number one, because when I set my business up this way, when someone does come and they reach out to me or they submit an application, they've been following me for a while, that person doesn't, in many cases, really need to be sold. So and oftentimes I can just text them an offer, or we can get on a sales call and we can have a short conversation. And because there's so much trust that's been built through that connection and that relationship up front through my marketing, I have to do a lot less heavy lifting on the back end. The other benefit to this is because, when someone comes to me at that moment, They have already been exposed to so much of me that they know my values. They know what I'm about. They have a connection with me. And they've had that moment where they go, in many cases, you're my person. You're the person I want to work with. And when someone has that moment, you become decommoditized. Even if you're offering the same thing as many other people in your market. If you're a business coach like me, God knows how many business coaches are there out there. But the truth is, if someone's been following me for 6 months, they don't just see me as a business coach. They see me as a business coach who also shares their values, who they feel connected with on a deeper level, who they've built this relationship with. And when someone has that experience, they don't see me as a commodity anymore. Versus the person who comes in, maybe I have the conversation with someone who's like 1 or 2 days in my audience. That person is like, I don't care who you are. If I need help growing my business, I just want the cheapest option. I'm not connected to you on a human level. So the people who sell this way upfront end up attracting a lot of what's called transactional buyers, people who are just interested in the surface level thing that you do. They don't care about you. They're not here because they have developed some connection with you as a personal brand. What they care about is basically just, can you help me solve my surface level problem? And are you the cheapest? So you end up in kind of like a race to the bottom when you sell up front, because you have to have basically the best offer, which in many cases is like the cheapest offer. So we're just in this like offers arms race, basically, with everybody else in your market, because you haven't leveraged the power of your personal brand and your marketing to build that relationship and that connection with people. Versus, look at my business, someone might take longer to actually warm up to me. But by the time they come to me, they've made that decision, they want to work with me. Price is kind of like a secondary thing, so I can charge more than other people. And I'm not the cheapest business coach out there. I'll tell you, that there's a lot of people out there who are a lot cheaper than me. And the other benefit is someone is coming to me not just for that surface level thing that they want help with, but they feel like there's a relationship and connection with me, which means I attract people who want to work with me on a deeper level. Those people generally stick around for longer. They're more likely to renew and be customers not just once, but for life. I love this quote. I heard this the other day from this guy, Dan Locke. He said, a first-time client is really just a really good prospect. If someone buys from you once, they're really just a prospect. Successful businesses are not built on the first sale. Successful businesses are built on the repeat buyer. So I don't want just people to sign up for me, work with me once. I want to build relationships with people who are going to be around for the long run, who are going to renew, who are going to stick around for years. And if someone sits in my audience for longer, they can build that relationship up front. Our expectations are more aligned. When they're coming to work with me, they know who I am. They're so much more likely to have a good experience inside my programs. They're so much more likely to renew. And they're so much less likely to have issues. When I was a director of sales, before I became a business coach, we were running a business where, it was very much like the marketing was like, we'd run the ad to the webinar and then you get on the sales call. And we had this big sales team taking all these calls, because when people are super new in your world, you got to have like a really solid sales process, because you got to like drag people through the fire on the sales conversations, because they're not ready yet. They just found you like 2 days ago or 3 days ago. So we were getting all these calls. And honestly, our refund rate was pretty high. It was like 17%. Because when someone comes in, they don't really know you. They're much more likely to have that kind of whiplash experience where it's like, oh, what did I sign up for? Versus, if you spent 6 months dating someone and then you end up in a relationship with them, versus like one date and then you get married, aren't you so much more likely to be happy in that relationship? Same principle applies to marketing. So I think I've kind of beat this over the head quite a bit in this episode today. But really, this idea of selling sooner, I just don't think it makes sense for a lot of personal brand driven businesses, particularly folks who are selling higher intimacy, higher touch experiences, where that relationship and that personal connection with the person, the client, is really at the center of what you do. So consider, if you are running a business, how you might lean out a bit more on the front end and let more of your marketing do more of that relationship building for you. It's just a more effective model. And really, it's the core of what I teach when it comes to helping people grow and build online businesses, because I think it's what I've seen to be most effective, not just in my own business, but in the hundreds of online business owners that I've had the privilege of helping and serving, who also do very similar, personal brand driven work as well. All right, so that brings us to number 4, which is you need a website. Bad business advice. The only people who tell you you need a website, by the way, generally, if you look at the people who are telling you this, it's usually web developers or web designers, or people trying to sell you some kind of service to help you build a website, like Wix or Squarespace or all these services. Here's the truth. I have seen so many successful entrepreneurs who have zero website, but are making millions of dollars, or their website is kind of janky. That's probably what I'm thinking of when I think of these people. It's not that they have no website, but it's a super janky website that hasn't been updated in 5 years. That's all the information is out of date. And yet I look at how they're doing in their business, they're making millions of dollars. This is so common, you'd be surprised. Yet I see a lot of online business owners who spend hours and hours and weeks and months of their life and thousands of dollars investing into creating this great website. And then they wonder why they're not getting clients. Here's the truth. A website is not going to get you clients. I'm not saying it has zero value in a business, but honestly, in most cases, you could do really well without a website. The most important thing when it comes to growing a business is you got a way of being visible to people who are in your niche and making invitations, basically selling to those people. You can do all of that without a website. You can literally run a multi-million-dollar business with ads in an email list or a YouTube channel and an email list. Your website doesn't even matter. You really don't need that much. So I see so many people wasting so much time building websites. And honestly, it's the first thing that most people do when they start a business. It's the biggest time suck and biggest time waster that so many people are spending and investing so much time into. And if I look at this on a deeper level, what I find, and this is normal, this is human. So many times in business, it's so easy to do the things that feel like work, because it's I feel like if I'm working on my website, that feels like work to me, when in reality, it's just a convenient way of hiding from the real work, which is often the uncomfortable, vulnerable work of putting yourself out there, making invitations, connecting with people in your audience, having conversations. That stuff is hard, so we avoid it. And I will throw my hand into the ring and say that I am also in this camp. It's hard for me to reach out to someone and sell. It's hard for me to actually, open up a conversation with someone. I'm afraid of getting rejected. I'm afraid of, what happens if people say no. This still comes up for me all the time. And what I find for so many of the clients I work with is when it comes to things like building a website, it's it feels like work. So it's easy to feel like you're being productive when you're working on building landing pages or your funnel or a website or whatever it is. But in reality, a lot of this stuff is just a convenient way of hiding. So looking at how you're engaging with your business and asking yourself, is there anything I'm doing in my business that feels like work but isn't actually the thing that's really moving the needle? How can I reallocate my time away from things that aren't really actually producing revenue in my business and moving back to the activities that I know are really going to produce results, which again, for most business owners is being visible, content conversations, and making offers. That's the thing that's actually going to get you, clients and get you paid. All right. So that brings us to bad business advice number 5, the last of these 5 pieces of bad business advice. This is something that I have gone back and forth on over the years. This idea of creating an offer ecosystem. Basically, the idea behind this is it's great to have different places in your business where different people can plug in. Some people are not going to be ready to invest $10,000 or whatever it is into your high-end offer. So maybe it's better to do low-ticket workshops, or it's better to have a mid-ticket program, or have different offers at different price points so you can create this ecosystem where people maybe can come in at the bottom and then they can ascend up the ladder in your business. Now, out of all the things on this list, I think this is the best bad piece of advice. And I have seen business owners out there who have been successful with this model. Here's the truth though. In my own business, when I look at my own business and I think about what's been most effective for me, as well as the clients that I work with, I used to be the person who would like preach one offer. It was like one offer, one offer, one offer. And I practiced this in my business. And I mean, I've done really well. Like when I look at like the core revenue that's coming into my business, like 80-90% of it comes from one offer, basically. But then not too long ago, I was like, yeah, maybe this idea of an offer ecosystem makes more sense. Let me start running more low ticket workshops and let me create these different entry points into my world. And so a couple years ago, I started doing low ticket stuff and I built this marketing workshop and, these different things. And, when I look at how much time and energy it took to actually set those things up, how much revenue I generated from those offers, and even the the upsell potential on the back end. It was very interesting like a while back. So I launched this 3-day marketing workshop. We had like 750 people over the course of several years sign up. And I looked at the percentage of those people that actually converted into high ticket clients. Because we don't make any money really on the like low ticket workshops and things like that. I mean, it's a couple $1,000s, it's not a lot of money. But only 5% of the people who had bought that marketing workshop ended up becoming high ticket clients later. It was a really illuminating moment for me. So I was like, wow, this idea of like, oh, people are ascending and the low ticket buyers become high ticket buyers, at least in my own business, that has not played out at a large scale or a large enough scale for me to say like, yeah, low ticket is the way to go. Let me just invest in building all these other offers to create all these entry points. So I've shifted my strategy in my business and I am not focused on selling low ticket offers today. We still have some stuff on our website, at least right now, that you can buy, like our past offers and workshops and things like that. But my focus primarily is on free trainings, masterclasses, things that are basically free to create those entry points into my world. And then having one core offer on the back end that's like my bread and butter, which today is my one-on-one coaching program. That works for me. And when I look at what's been most successful and effective, both in my own business as well as the clients that I work with, that simplicity of having that one core thing that you're building your business around and then creating different entry points on the front end that are free, that can basically be different ways that people can tap in, whether it's free trainings or masterclasses or one-to-one type conversations and connections with people on the front end. That works. It's been effective. It's worked for me. And honestly, when I started straying from that model, I started having more and more issues in my business and it became harder to make money. So I'm not saying there isn't any value in this idea of an ecosystem when it comes to your offers, and I've seen people do very well with this, but in my own business, this is not what we're doing today. And this is, this idea of simplicity is the thing that's been most effective and successful for me. So it's the piece of advice that I will pass along to you. So 5 pieces of terrible business advice. Hopefully you learned something in this episode today. I think there's a lot of good stuff here. And, I just want to encourage you that, I think it's important to try things and test things in your business, because I wouldn't have learned any of these lessons had I not gone down this road of building out the offer ecosystem or done these different things. And some of this at the end of the day also comes down to who you are. There are certain things that might work for me that might not work for you. So much of the business advice out there, the problem is not necessarily that it's bad advice. The problem is that it's not necessarily advice that is tailored for you. Because it's really important for you to understand what is aligned for you, what is authentic for you, what is going to take advantage of your strengths. The right business strategy for you is going to be different than the business strategy that's going to work for someone else or for me. This is why I'm such a big fan of my new one-on-one coaching offer, why I migrated recently my entire business, shut down our group program and migrated exclusively to offering one-on-one coaching moving forward. Because I think having that one-on-one mentorship, that guidance, someone who can help you build out that customized, personalized business strategy for you. So you're not just plugging into some cookie cutter system that's like paint by numbers, the same thing that works for everybody else, the same system that maybe is going to work for one person, but is not going to work for you. You can actually get that customized strategy and that plan built directly by me for you. And this is what I do with every single one of my clients that works with me one-on-one. I just did one of these strategy assessments this morning. You fill out like a whole 40 question questionnaire that goes directly to me. I sit with all that information and I record a whole video that walks through a customized marketing plan and customized business strategy that shows you exactly what you need to grow your business, exactly what you need to do based on your strengths, based on your niche, based on your unfair advantages. I mean, imagine what that would do for you over the next 6 months, having that clarity, not guessing, not wondering what to do next, but knowing what exactly you need to do in order to grow, as well as one-on-one calls with me, Telegram, daily mentorship via text message. So whenever you have a question, whenever you hit a snag, you're not alone. You're not guessing what to do next. You can just pull out your phone, send me a text message, and generally within a couple hours, you'll get a response. This is me and you building your business as a team. I mean, imagine what this would do for you over the next 6 months. I'm super pumped about this offer. It's the best offer I've ever released. And I'm just so excited about this format and the potential that it has to be able to support you in growing your business, getting more clients, increasing your income moving forward. So if you are an online business owner, coach, consultant, course creator, expert, agency owner, someone who is serious about unlocking that next level of impact, of income, of revenue, of clients in your business, you're wanting clarity on how to do that. You want to explore how we might be able to work together to help you make that happen in a deep, intimate, one-on-one way. I've got spots open right now. These are first come, first serve. And we do have spots available inside this one-on-one mentorship program right now. Go to jasonmoss.com/apply to submit an application. That will go directly to me and I'll review it. If I think you're a good fit, if I think I can help you, I'll reach out to you. We'll have a no pressure chat and we'll explore what's really best for you. So jasonmoss.com/apply if you want to take that next step. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this episode today. I hope you found some bad business advice to avoid, and I will see you in the next episode.